In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least it is true that man has no control, even over his own will. Fans in the Berserk community know this quote all too well. And Berserk is a philosophical masterpiece, showing different themes of isolation, camaraderie, and exposing the best and worst of human nature. But today we're going to be diving into some of the best quotes crafted in this wonderful narrative of a story. Of course, there are tons of impactful quotes in this magnificent story. Naturally, I'm not going to be able to examine every single quote in the series in this one video. So today, we're going to be looking at my top 5 favorite Berserk quotes. You cry a lot when you're alone, don't you, Casca? These were Judo's final words in Berserk. And I just need to say that this quote hit me so damn hard. Not because of what Judo said, but because of what he couldn't say. Judo was always compassionate and caring, seeming to always know the right thing to say and always lending a sympathetic ear to others. Judo brought a much-needed feeling of comfort to Berserk. He was always loyal, honest, and brought a sense of morality to this immoral world. But this is only part of the reason why his death is so devastating for me. In the end, in his final moments, we learn that Judo loved Casca. He cherished her with every fiber of his being. And yet, Judo could never tell Casca how he truly felt. Always watching from afar, always protecting Casca, he could never manage to tell her how he truly felt. Even in his final moments, all he wanted to do was make a meaningful connection with Casca, and yet all he could say was, "You cry a lot when you're alone, don't you, Casca?" I believe that Judo died full of regrets, which made his death even more heartbreaking for me. He poetically died in the arms of the woman he loved, but he was never able to truly convey his feelings for her. If I can take away anything from Judo's death and this impactful quote, it would be to tell those you love how much you care about them before it's too late. People bring the small flames of their wishes together, since they don't want to extinguish the small flame. They'll bring that small flame to a bigger fire, a big flame named Griffith. But you know, I didn't bring a flame with me. I think I just stopped by to warm myself by the bonfire. This beautiful quote can be found in Chapter 22, Volume 7 of Berserk's manga, titled Campfire of Dreams. This is one of the most pivotal chapters in Berserk, providing the reader with insight into Guts' mindset. This chapter also provides us with a beautiful use of symbolism, portraying each flame as an individual dream carried amongst the various members in the Band of the Hawk. And for these dreams, or rather flames, to stay alive, they must be cast into the biggest flame of all, a raging fire known as Griffith. But it's here that Guts ponders upon the meaning and direction of his own life. Guts simply states that he has no dreams, and therefore he has no flame to bring to the fire. And we soon come to realize that Guts feels inferior to everyone else because they all have their own dreams, hopes, and ambitions that they fight for, whereas he has nothing. So this quote does so many different things right. Number one, it gives us a look into Guts' mindset, and we get to address the fact that he's contemplating leaving the Band of the Hawk. And despite the fact that Guts says that he has no light to bring to the fire, I think this is very far from the truth. Although he doesn't know it yet, or maybe he can't even comprehend his feelings, but Guts will find meaning in his life through his relationship with Casca. Not only does this quote foreshadow Guts' future relationship with Casca, but it also alludes to a future event in the series, one of the most prominent and important, that of course being the eclipse. And it is in the eclipse that we see Griffith quite literally extinguish every small flame as he absorbs all of the dreams of the members of the Band of the Hawk upon sacrificing them to the God Hand. As barbarous as this act may be, it's very true that Griffith could have never achieved his dream without the Band of the Hawk members. This quote shines a light on many different topics in Berserk, and its importance cannot be understated, which is why I believe it to be the number 4 best. If you desire one thing for so long, it's a given that you'll miss other things along the way. That's how it is. That's life. Now this quote is brought to us directly from Godo himself. Godo is a very interesting character who's overlooked many times throughout the series of Berserk, but his importance cannot be understated. This quote ties directly back into Godo's personal life. He was consumed with his trade of being a blacksmith, and he was completely engulfed by it. And because Godo had such ceaseless devotion to his trade, he ended up obscuring many other aspects of his life. Only upon taking care of Erika did Godo finally realize there were other critical aspects of life that he was missing out on, one of those being the joy of human connection. And Godo does so much more for the Berserk series, much more than you would initially think. Godo wasn't solely responsible for just crafting Guts' weaponry, but he also played an essential role in helping Guts craft his own mindset on life. It's through Guts' conversations with Godo that he was able to awaken a realization about himself. And this is why I believe that Godo's quote here is so important. It acts as a cautionary tale for Guts while also providing him some insight to follow along his journey, which is why I believe it's deserving of the number 3 best spot on my list. Throughout my life, the moments and people who have defined me, they have all been illuminated by sparks. I seriously appreciate this quote. In fact, I kind of cherish it. I identify with the meaning behind this quote, not just because of what it brings to the series and its relevance, but because it's been applicable in my life. And in order for me to explain this further, I believe it's proper for me to tell you a little something about myself. So in my existence, I can't say that I've dealt with any crazy adversity like, say, Nosferatu Zod, but I can say that I've dealt with many hardships and difficulties throughout my life. And I'm not even gonna lie, there were a lot of times where I was weak. I had a lot of low points in my life, whether it was a relationship flaw, or I lost somebody who was irreplaceable to me, or even a rough patch in my training in the military. But despite some of these hardships that I've endured, missteps that I've taken, and trials that I've faced, there have been few people alone who have remained faithful to me. For all the places that I've traveled to in my life and seen, and all the people who I've loved and cared for, and all the personal connections I've made, through all of these moments, they've helped define me and seriously push me to exemplify the best aspects of who I am as a person. And I know so long as I have moments like this in my life, that I will depart this world with a smile on my face one day. I find this quote to be absolutely beautiful, and that's why I have it listed as my number 2 favorite. While many can pursue their dreams in solitude, other dreams are like great storms, blowing hundreds, even thousands of dreams apart in their wake. Dreams breathe life into men and can cage them in suffering. Men live and die by their dreams, but long after they have been abandoned, they still smolder deep in men's hearts. Some see nothing more than life and death. They are dead, for they have no dreams. So this quote is absolutely beautiful, and it provides such value and significance towards the overall story of Berserk. It's amazing how just a simple string of words, just this one speech, set into motion the entire downfall of the Band of the Hawk. And the aftermath that preceded this speech changed the outlook of everyone, all for the worse. This speech foreshadows so much to come, and it really goes to show you that one man's dream can truly be another man's nightmare. If it weren't for this scene and this quote, Guts would have never have left, and we wouldn't have had the series that we have today. This quote foretells the future quite fittingly with its line, "Dreams can breathe life into men, but can also cage them in suffering." So this quote hints at the birth of Femto and also addresses the destruction of the Band of the Hawk. And can you imagine how betrayed you would feel if you were Guts in this scene? I mean, Guts committed not 1, but 2 murders for Griffith, only for him to put him in a place lower than the friend zone. And after completing these horrific murders, Guts learns that Griffith didn't even consider him a friend or an equal. At least that's what Guts believes upon hearing Griffith. And this misinformation changes the fate of Berserk for the worse. After this, it was only natural that Guts was going to leave the Band of the Hawk to try to become Griffith's equal. There are so many layers to this quote. It's like a parfait of symbolism, and an absolutely beautiful one at that. Not only the quote, but this whole scene cemented Berserk as one of my favorite series of all time, and it's a must-watch for anybody who's interested. This quote has great significance in Berserk's story through its use of symbolism, cinematography, and excellent use of foreshadowing, which is why I believe it to be the #1 best quote in Berserk. Hey everybody, I hope you were able to enjoy the video. Obviously I wasn't able to pick out all of the best quotes in Berserk. There are just way too many good moments and quotes throughout the series for me to be able to pinpoint all of them. But despite this, I was still able to nail down my top 5 favorite. If you have any favorite quotes of your own from the series, I would love to see them in the comment section below, so feel free to drop them and let me know. But in closing, I feel it necessary to express my gratitude to the late Kentaro Miura. You've delivered so much into my life through your work, and honestly, this video today wouldn't even be possible without it. So, thank you so much. But as always, this has been Nelson's Animator, and I thank every one of you for watching. See you next time.